They're gonna show the game when supposed to show the 10 o'clock news, but anyways, welcome to a special edition of WFSO After Dark.
Stop clapping.
Anyways, I was saying that when we had the opportunity to talk about the Mr. McMahon or have our review about it, so yep, this is that time, and hopefully probably the majority of y'all probably seen the whole 6 episodes, and or they saw the videos that we put out after every episode, and it's just like
Daisy.
I swear Daisy is something else. But anyway, it went from like certain amount of episodes, like it went from the beginning all the way up to where they had to stop interviewing. Then they interviewed some other people like earlier this year from the reactions of the allegations and stuff that's going on.
She had to go and exchange it.
Yeah, I was about to say she had to get another one. And I know some of y'all that's watching through Twitch can probably see her mask. But anyway, do y'all have any like takeaway from each episode, or you just want to like just talk about it all together?
Let's just talk about it all together, because we're going to go back and forth on certain things, because there were so many things from like one episode that intertwined with the final episode that intertwined with the first, so there was just a whole collusion of things. The first thing I want to say, on the light-hearted side, I had no damn clue whatsoever that WWE had a casino and a restaurant.
Restaurant, I knew about the casino, I didn't know about.
Yeah, the casino, like you said, I didn't know about the casino either. I knew about the restaurant.
You have to remember, I was in England at the time, so those things weren't prevalent for me.
No, it was around the time when you was here that they made it the restaurant and casino.
When was that then? Because I thought it was when I wasn't here.
No, it was around like 2000, 2001.
Oh, well, I was only just here then, and look who I was with.
Yeah.
So, but either way, it was just like, they did that?
Yeah, because I was pretty shocked about, the casino. Like, what casino? Like,
and then
seriously?
The other couple of things that made me laugh, Mindy, come here. A couple of things that made me giggle was Vince going on about, coming up, how he likes to be with like-minded, self-made people. Yet one of his close friends is Donald Trump. Like, dude, there ain't no self-made in that man.
Right. I'm surprised they didn't add that one point about Trump in there that, he kind of saved him a bit from what McMahon was saying.
Yep.
So I'm surprised they didn't add that on there. What are you doing?
And as we mentioned, name the person who pretty much stayed away from all of the interviews and stuff. She was there for a few things, but Linda McMahon.
Right. And I guess everybody do want to know, her take on, the allegations and stuff like that, which...
Like, how much did she know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was it a case of that she knew that Vince was having an affair? Had things been brought to her attention about, other things? You know what I mean? It's like, how much did she know?
Exactly.
What surprised you, Mike, in regards to what you saw? Or was there a lot of it that you were like, that clears that up?
That really surprised me.
It was actually fun, weren't it, when we was talking with Robert about it, and Robert was saying that he had watched it, or he goes, did you guys watch the McMahon documentary? And we're like, yeah. When have you seen all of it? And he's like, yeah, well, you were there with us at the hotel when we started talking about it. And it was interesting watching him not know about the Montreal screw job.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't alive yet.
I know he wasn't alive yet, but I didn't know about it until I moved over here. Until, like, later on because of you guys.
Yeah, because you weren't alive yet.
Anyways, like you said, I didn't know he had more lawsuits in his way in the 80s,
I knew about...
in the early 90s.
I knew somewhat about the drug one.
Yeah, the steroid ones
one,
I knew.
because that was big.
Right. Like, the steroids one I knew, but, like, the rest of it, with the female referee and
Right.
all that other stuff, I did not know.
You think that was just, and I'm not even, don't even take into account where what the allegations are now. But you think that was in the 90s about the female referee? You think that was actually a thing of her trying to get back at her for being released?
No. No, I think she was just the first to speak out about what was going on.
Right. Because in business, like, anybody can be shady. It's just like, they can just, like, try to fire you for no reason because they just don't like you.
I don't think that's what it
no,
was
no, no,
when
I'm
it
just
came
saying,
to her.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that for example.
Yeah,
like,
I know
somebody.
you are, but
Yeah.
I'm saying my piece here too. But I think it was a case when it came to her, she was just one of the ones who perhaps had enough support behind her to come out and say, you've got to say something, you've got to do something, what they did wasn't right. You know, that sort of thing.
Right. The Pat Patterson incident, like, wow. And you have, the ring crew was getting touched by some of the wrestlers.
That was the surprise there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying it was a surprise because, we know men can get abused too. That's not the surprise part.
Right.
The surprise part was it was so swept under the rug, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And the fact that in all of this, Vince was still able to keep a company running and have the power that he did.
Exactly. Like, you think that, like, people wasn't really, like, watching for some of the stuff that was going on around
Absolutely.
that time?
Absolutely. You know for a fact from all of the three of us have been in local wrestling.
Uh-huh.
On the other side of things, not just on the fan side. Micah's a wrestler, we did commentary and all of that lot. And we know for a fact that it's still very much a boys' club. And women and other people who are considered weak are treated like shit. We've seen it. And...
I really never paid attention to it. I just did my job and went home.
Well, yeah, we know that. But there's, we've seen a lot of it. And I think stories need to come out because it's not just the WWEs of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's other smaller feds as well.
Right. And, like, from the one of the videos that we did after the review, like, we were just talking about that. Like, seems like some of the Fed owners got that, trying to be like Vince McMahon complex or whatever you want to call it. It just...
Small dick complex.
Yeah, pretty much. But I tried that because I know there was a lot more thing that was going on. With some people was talking about Attitude Era and stuff like that. Like what were we saying? Like some of the stuff, if they would have brought that back and did some of the stuff they did then,
they wouldn't get away with it.
No, they wouldn't get away with it now.
They didn't.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like on the fence on some people. Just like, why you want that back? Like they could bring like a little bit of something, but they can't bring like...
Yeah, there's some of it that you could bring back. Like we do need more wrestlers who were like Stone Cold. You know what I mean? And that sort of attitude. Mm-hmm. But there's some stuff like the whole sexual exploitation you're not going to bring back.
Exactly.
Couldn't do it.
Tell us why. You're like, we're trying to get you involved here, so talk about why.
No, I didn't.
You've already explained why.
Well, what are your views?
But you have an opinion too.
Like, if you've already told the people why it can't be done, it's like, hell, but that's enough to add to it. You made it. You made a point.
No,
like
because
why it
you
can't
might
be
have
made.
different views.
Yeah. Same thing. Like, they can't do it because of the era, the time frame of the era. It can't be replicated.
Part of my reason for like the whole sexual side of it is like, if you think about it, back then we had the Girls Gone Wild, and you know the different shows like was it Blind Date, one of them?
Mm-hmm.
There was Jerry Springer, like when he was in his prime, and you know a whole bunch of other ones. So it fit the
Cheaters
time,
come out.
It fit the time frame at the time.
You know what? I'm surprised they haven't made a diva yet that's a straight-up Karen. That seems to be popular nowadays.
Chelsea Green. They already done that. Chelsea Green. Like she was always complaining. Like she was always constantly complaining about something that's wrong in the workplace. So yeah,
keep that going.
No, it's still
very long.
It's still going. I think it's like now she's getting like more popular than ever. I think they just toning it down a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Force with that one.
You know?
You can get some good storylines out of it.
But I think, like, going back to the whole thing and everything, is that when they were going on, it made me laugh because we sat here when they were going on about DX, weren't we? And, you know, they were saying, oh, people were crotch chopping at the business, at the mall, and I went, and we were getting phone calls from the school.
Right. Okay. Like I'm gonna answer this person's question. Well,
what's the question?
Not many of us watch UFC.
Well, read the question. What's the
So it was like, wouldn't UFC be more entertaining instead of the fake stuff in WWE?
UFC is interesting.
But they have like so many people on their roster, it is too much to keep up with. So that's why I don't watch UFC, because it's too many people and it's like too many, you know, people just to keep up with.
And my thing is, when it comes to UFC and wrestling, I should point out, is that I stepped away from wrestling big time a few years back. Actually, thinking about it, it was like 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was after the death of our son, because local wrestling, there was a Fed owner in particular who started telling everybody that we lied about our son's death because I didn't want him at my son's funeral. At our son's funeral, we only had our immediate family. And when I say immediate family, I mean literally our eldest son, my mother-in-law. She brought one of his cousins along who she was looking after that day, and my best friend. Those were the only people we wanted at the funeral. And the similar thing with the memorial service. At the memorial we had for him, we just wanted really close people there. And so this particular Fed owner went around telling everybody we lied about the death of our son to gain money. What money, I don't even know. And it was very hard dealing with wrestlers. So I literally stepped away from wrestling like 11, 12 years ago and watched some national wrestling, some WWE, some AEW.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say AEW because I just can't even get along on that one. It's like watching a nursing home come together to wrestle over pudding.
Right.
And pudding. Sorry. But you know, and then when you saw how things, like, I would go back and watch some of WWE, and you could see that there was this bunch of old timers coming together going like, yeah, this'll work. And it's like, Vince, dude.
kind of like what Eric Bischoff was doing with WCW in a way.
There was no control in WCW. Everybody was doing whatever they wanted to. The inmates were running the asylum pretty much.
Well, and if you remember, it was a similar thing. I don't want to say it was like the inmates running the asylum, because the wrestlers would have done a damn fine job in comparison. But don't you agree it was like, and even to a certain degree, we started to slowly see the changes with Triple H in charge. But a prime example of what it felt like is, if you go back to the 2-night WrestleMania last year, where Vince still had an element of control. We had that first night.
I thought that was the year before.
No, it was last year. It was last year.
We had the first night where it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This was like phenomenal. It was great.
Which was night 1 of WrestleMania.
Night 1.
You fool at us.
No, it was last year.
Yeah, when he returned after he so-called decided to retire.
And then the second night, it was like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Side of the main event.
Yeah. And if you remember, we were sitting here like, I know I'd gone to Maggie's, hadn't I?
I thought that was WrestleMania 39.
No, it was last year.
Yeah, 39 was last year.
It was 40 this year. Yeah.
40 is this year.
We've just
39 was
40.
last year.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Last year. We're still in 2024, dude. God damn. But, you know, Vince, it was almost like Vince was coming back up doing the, I can still do it, I still got it. It's like, you don't have it.
Right.
You know, we went through, and I understand why they did the PG era, because they wanted the advertisements, the sponsorships, and all of that lot. But that's what went wrong. The old boys let their favorite pets run it. And I know you're a Cena fan, but he was Vince McMahon's pet.
Well,
and we had times where he was really good, where he was like letting people write a script that he could follow and act a certain way, and then we went into that PG era. And when you can have a match that's stopped because there is blood, like, no, we have to stop the match. Darling, let me think. And Batista is like waving the guy off, because tell me this, Mike. You're in the middle of a match. The last thing you want is the match stopped because somebody's got a bit of blood coming off of their forehead.
Well, that happened to us already, but that was because of a blood incident.
That was because the ring broke. Yeah. I have the photos. But you know what I mean? It's like, you don't want that flow stopping. Now, I understand you don't want people being hit with, you know, thumbtacks and baseball bats wrapped in barbed wire and stuff. But you've got to let things flow naturally.
Yup.
And it also felt like these old boys were coming together to throw together a match to wrestle over fucking pudding. That doesn't work.
Right. It was just like people was blaming like certain wrestler for like being like PG. No, Vince McMahon decided to go that route because, you know, some of the storylines and stuff that they was trying to put out was like over the top.
Right, but you can't do what he did. He went from going from the Attitude Era. He was going 60 miles an hour and stopped in a 25 zone. That's basically how it was. You can't slam the brakes on something that quick. You have to gently slide into it.
Right.
You can't go from tits and ass to all the women being all of a sudden, you know, Mother May I. You can't go from these hardcore wrestlers going out there and like wrestling like their life depended on it to, no, you do it, no, let's have a slap, let me slap. No, you can't do that. Wrestling got shitty for that reason. It got shitty because then they started bringing in soap riders.
They had that in the late 90s. I think it just got worse.
All they needed was at the beginning, like sands through the hourglass, so is WWE. And what's his name coming out from the back and being the bad guy. He would have made a better fucking wrestler at some point.
Ooh, I know you talk about, I just can't
Who's
think
the guy from Days of Our Lives, the bad guy?
Somebody, you know.
I can't... Stefano?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stefano from Days of Our Lives. He could have come out during the PG era, stood in the middle of the ring, and said, "I will kill you all." And that would have been more entertaining. Because you had the old ass people in control who were all of a sudden got morals. Yeah. Vince, of all people, got moral. Like, where? Is it because he was too busy attacking and sexually assaulting people behind the scenes that his Viagra pill wore off and his testosterone wore off and he couldn't do things in the ring anymore?
Right, because that thing he did I think it was 30, was it 38? Yeah, I think it was 38 when he tried to so-called he'll just come out and try to wrestle Pat McAfee and like...
Right.
Yeah, that was bad. And I know Pat McAfee was trying to do everything he can to try and make it look good, but...
But you can't make it look good when you've got somebody you should be just give it up. I could understand, like, when... What's her face? Who was that really old female wrestler who used to show up sometimes?
Not Fabulous Moolah? Or
No.
Not Mae Young.
Yes, Mae Young.
Mae Young? Oh, Mae Young,
when
okay.
Mae Young used to show up and do a couple of little wrestling moves and everything, you could understand people... I don't want to say being, a bit over the top with her in regards to how they fell and everything. But respect where respect's due. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then going on to... Was it Fabulous Moolah who was behind the sexual abuse of women as well?
Yup.
Please notice that weren't brought up.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't.
But...
It wasn't about her, it was about Vince.
No, but it's a case of birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, and plus, it wasn't supposed to be about, like, Hulk Hogan, but they talked about him a little bit, so they had to add, some...
Yeah, because he was on trial. He was the star witness at the drug
but also,
trial.
But also, in the beginning, when Vince, like, created, like, WrestleMania and stuff, they was talking about Hogan, too.
Because he had WrestleMania.
I was just about to say, like, yeah, he was on some parts and stuff, but... Because there were some people that was thinking, like, okay, why are they talking more about Hogan than them there? And, like, just that is that reason why?
Well, one of the reasons why is Hogan has always been Vince McMahon's golden boy. He's under the table juggling the bowl sack for Vince.
Yeah, but I thought he was wrong for...
Roman Reigns.
Now Roman Reigns takes up the ass.
But, But Hogan was kind of wrong, like getting telling Vince McMahon about Jesse Ventura trying to unionize the WWE.
Hogan was wrong for so many goddamn things he's done.
And that's why Jesse Ventura never went back. Oh, he considering it now, but
because Vince McMahon ain't
running it.
It only wanted an apology from Hogan. That's it. That's all.
He ain't gonna get no apology from Hogan.
Hogan know that, but that's all he wants.
Yeah, he'll never get it.
The sad thing in regards to all of it is that there were so many amazing people who were screwed over by Vince and his cohorts.
Yep, and you was right about saying some of the old guys, like where they had Jared Briscoe, Pat Patterson, freaking Michael Hayes. I'm surprised he still got a job after the things he was doing this past decade. Yeah, it's just some people that I'm just surprised they're still there.
Well, to me, some of the problem is that whereas we've just come out and said you will never be able to do work like the Divas did now because of how attitudes have changed and everything. That's part of the reason why some of these wrestlers and some of these behind the scenes guys and owners and everything will never get held accountable, because people are going to come and say, oh, it was a different time then. Now you've got the Me Too movement, everything's sexual assault. That's what the problem is because there's still going to be men out there who believe that it's their right, or who are going to say, well, if she didn't dress a certain way, if she didn't act a certain way, that's what's going to happen. No, there's no excuse for it. There's seriously no excuse for it. You cannot will your power to get sexual favors. If your wife ain't doing it for you, divorce her. Find someone else.
There's another thing, like, since you had mentioned that, y'all, some people like the bra and panties match. You got women, current like wrestlers, pose, they model on the side too. So look at some of their photos just to get your socks rock off and something like that. At least like what. I'm not saying some of the women in the past didn't have no wrestling skills or anything like that.
But there was a hell of a lot who didn't. Right.
At least the ones today have that. And like I said, y'all want to get your like socks rocked off, go look at some of their modeling pictures that they do from time to time on the side. Let's see, and there are some of them that even got their own like calendars out.
Right.
And like I said, get your.
They've gone from that to OnlyFans.
Some have done that too.
Some of them have, but I think
it was the same with like what's her face, the one who killed herself.
Oh, Ashley.
Yeah. The sad part in regards to her is that, nobody believed her with what she said happened when they went overseas.
Right.
And, well, you need to suck it up type of thing. And then, literally every storyline afterwards was her being humiliated in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was just like, you know what? When they brought it up, it was like, hey, you guys are right. That did happen. They did,
right.
basically try and humiliate her all the time. And then it's like, okay, yes, she killed herself. But who's going to be held responsible for what led up to that? We got to start believing people when they say this has happened to them. And stop saying to them, well, what did you wear? What were you drinking? What did you do? Stop saying this.
Exactly.
If a woman says to you that she has been raped, sexually assaulted, abused in any way, you believe her until proven otherwise.
Right.
And the same with men too. I'm not excluding men from this, because we know men are victims of sexual assault too. You believe them until it's proven otherwise.
Exactly.
There you go on Dr. Phil.
I should do a better job than him.
Go on this primetime show and try to be like, I can upstage you, fool.
I could.
Yeah, that would be something. But
difference is I've still got my license, Dr. Phil. I have 4 clients a week who I deal with, Dr. Phil. So, carry on.
Okay, I'm just trying to think. There was like more points that they, point out.
The text messages.
Oh yeah, from that last woman. Yeah.
That right there. I was almost like under the impression, like, okay, maybe they're out to get him for some reason or another. But when you got proof like that, it's like, well, yeah, you kind of fucked up now.
Yeah. Because we know, and let's be honest, they hadn't even said anything about that when we've been watching on TV, like the news clips and stuff. It was just like, oh, these women had said this, and Vince was saying, no, it didn't happen, but these women were saying that. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I got the proof right here. It's like, well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back.
I don't know how you're going to get out of that one.
Yeah.
Like, the only other thing she could have had that would have been even better than
Video.
that, the actual photographic evidence, but she had text messages, which is just as good. They're like, damn, how you gonna get around that one?
Yeah, there's no way they're gonna get around that one, and that's kind of the crazy thing too. With all that, and what's your feelings on Bruce Pritchard that was really trying to defend McMahon like the whole time during that whole docu series?
Because once again, he's like Vince McMahon's right hand man, so he's gotta defend, like how he said, he'd defend him until the day he dies.
And you know the funny thing is too is like, although he was there for like half of the time in some of the Attitude Era, but you know they let him go like after that, and I'm surprised he didn't talk about that or try to bash Vince McMahon or anything like that for letting him go. Then they suddenly brought him back, and now he's trying to play kiss ass and all that. Yeah, Bruce Pritchard, he's just something else.
Brother love.
Yeah, he was brother love.
This is the 90s.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
his
need.
character was this is the 90s.
Right.
I don't know how long he's actually been
I don't even know if he can try to play that character now. Like,
there. Wouldn't work.
yeah, I'm about to say he got bigger, and I don't know he would have to try to turn red in the face again.
And the allegation came out about preachers and everything else having, like, raping little kids and shit like that. No, that gimmick not work nowadays.
Probably not. But let's see what else. I like when they got to like the last the moment on the saying how will Vince McMahon will be remembered.
His legacy.
Yeah, and nobody can even answer that except for Bruce Pritchard.
His legacy to me would be he'd be known as one. Well, it's, I guess it's a matter of a point of view from different people. To me, he'll be known as the man that took WWE to heights that would never would have been had anybody else rank.
That I agree with.
Because it was as we saw from the beginning, had it been up to all those other old school promoters, everything would have probably been still territories. He's the one that broke the mold and was like, I'm going to expand outside of just this territory.
Right, and it's just sad that and I was mentioning this on one of the videos too, it's like it's sad that certain these promoters in Wisconsin like just worry about like territories, and like one fed is trying to expand, but they was also the fed that complaining about territories. But there's still some people that be complaining about that too. It's like that's not fair because people want to see like something different. I don't know, but like I said, I think the territory thing is like kind of stupid, and I'm just glad WWE did break that mold, and like some of these indie fans in Wisconsin need to do the same. Like it's like they stuck in the old age and old days and stuff like that. Okay, another question for you. If Shane McMahon would have took over like Vince McMahon instead of that, stunt that he put talk about, you're gonna have to kill me to take it over. You think Shane McMahon would have done a better job if Vince would have stepped down and he would have took over?
Yes and no. Yes on the aspect of he knew what the fans wanted, because of course he was like in a handful of matches that were not bad. But then no one, the fact is, well, I can't really say no. I can't really say, I can only say I don't know, because I don't know how much of the business aspect he actually knew about it.
Yeah, good point.
Because as we know, Vince McMahon is not a wrestler, but he's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows what to do to make, to make the business work. That's why in the 90s it was so big with Hogan. He had the Golden Boy. He knew what to do to bring the fans in.
Right.
Now, with Shane, on the other hand, Shane knows what to do in the ring to bring the fans in, but do you know the other half of it, of how to bring them in? It's one thing to have a match and be like, get the fans interacted, but how do you bring them in to make them want to see it? Vince knew that part of it. He knew what to do that would bring people in and put butts in the seats. And then, of course, if he was in a match, we knew the match was going to be garbage, but that was the payoff.
People will want to be there to see him get beat up.
Exactly. That's the payoff to it. But with Shane, it's like, Shane's in a match and he did all that Daredevil stuff that people were like, ooh, that's badass. But do you know the part of it of how to bring people in to make them want to see it, though?
I think it probably would be like, I think if he would like knew more like in the aspect, I think he probably would have done better. It's kind of like the same thing like with Vince McMahon's dad. Like he didn't want to stick to like his dad wanted to stick to the old ways, and Vince wanted to be different. And it's and it's kind of like the same thing with Vince and Shane, in a way. But
I get what you mean.
Yeah, like you think like his old ways would like still would have worked, and I guess they just don't, like some people that be stuck in their old ways don't realize, it's different times.
But then, like I said, with Shane, like, do you know the business aspect of it? Do you know how to bring people in? Do you know how to keep people interested to make them want to come back?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Vince did it by, when he got the company from his dad, by, as we just said, he expanded. It just wasn't that little small region. He went to this organization, and this organization, and this organization, promoting his product on different promotions. And then eventually, he was like, I'm going to take this person, this person, this person, and this person, and branch out instead of just being in this small territory. And then, of course, he struck that deal with USA, which cable was becoming the most popular thing since sliced bread. And the rest is history.
Right.
Because he knew the business aspect of it. He knew how to bring people in. He knew how to put butts in the seats where they want to see that product. That's why I said with Shane McMahon, yes, he could draw a crowd, but do you know how to draw that crowd? Do you know how to bring that crowd in?
Right. I know what you're saying. But answer to that question, like I said, if you're coming to America around October, you're better off going to like I would say California. Go visit there in October. So that would be, I would say go to LA. Although it'll be expensive, but it'll at least be more nicer than anywhere else at the moment.
And before you ask any more questions, I will answer this one. Yes, OJ did it.
I think everybody know by now that OJ did it. I guess they just really surprised that, he got away with it. But
and for those of you that believe he didn't do it, then hell, he didn't do it.
And they probably gonna use that glove thing there for evidence. Like, the glove didn't fit. You know how people can shrink like clothing when you wash it and dry it?
No, that's Undertaker's glove. We know.
But anyways, there was another part on there that they was talking about. What do you think if they would have went through with that incest story?
It would have been controversial, which is what they were doing at that era, but Stephanie stood her ground for it not to happen, and it's a good thing it didn't, because, it would have drawn. That would have drawn. I don't think that would have drawn any money. Yes, it was controversial. Yes, I understand WWE was competing with WCW at the time. But yeah, you gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, that was like a crazy and stupid storyline. So kind of glad they didn't went with that. But I'm trying to think like around the time with Vince, like what was the storyline that you didn't like? At least liked. You liked the least.
Let's see. Attitude Era?
Could be any era.
Kind of hard to say. They didn't really have any bad storylines back then.
Yeah, I was actually.
Like, I should say for the main storyline, there was nothing bad. Because it was always that, because they always had those storylines that brought people in. Outside of probably, I would probably have to say, I understand that some people it was entertaining, but to me it's like the hell is his hair purple for?
I didn't even see it.
Anyway, the one storyline they could have, I understand it was entertaining and a lot of people probably disagree with me on this one, but the one storyline they really didn't need was Mae Young and Mark Henry. They did not need that.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
understand it was entertaining and some people, and it was like laughable at sometimes, but they didn't need it.
Especially her giving birth to a hand. That's crazy. I'm gonna ask you the same question. From the time you've been watching like WWE, what was the storyline that you at least did not like? Like just one of those storylines you just can't stand the most, or just didn't make any sense.
The one they did with WWE with Awesome Kong right before she left.
I don't remember what her
where she was bullied.
Was.
And then she sat in the middle of the ring and screamed. And then left. And then it was like, okay, she left. That was just like, okay.
They didn't know what to do with her, like,
nope.
When she returned after she lost her baby. Like,
right.
They put her in the Royal Rumble match, which was fine. But after that, it was just like...
And the one I could have done without, and I felt was like, just showed how Vince McMahon just totally all the freaking time drag people's real life into things, was the story with Edge, Leader, and
Matt Hardy.
It was, if it wasn't bad enough that he, lost his girlfriend to his who he thought was one of his best friends.
Right.
Vince has to go and make it into a storyline as well.
Yeah, that was kind of like crazy.
I mean, if it hadn't have been a real life thing at the same time, that would have been a phenomenal storyline. Because you got some good matches out of it. But to me, it was really kind of heartless. Like, really, you're going to do this?
And Edge ended up winning that feud, which I thought was kind of like BS. But I know he was holding the briefcase, but still, Matt Hardy should have won that feud.
The other thing that I think really did actually show the type of person that Vince McMahon is, was the Montreal Screwjob.
Hey, I'm kind of with Vince on that one.
Now, hold on. Let me finish my thing. Bret Hart needed to have dropped that belt. But I think they should have kept with what they said originally was going to happen, where it was just going to be like a all-out brawl and they could have just stripped him. But what I didn't like was how Vince got everybody else around to lie.
Yeah, because he put all the blame on himself.
Doesn't matter.
He didn't want anybody else to take the brunt of something that was his decision to begin with.
Well, I still think it was a bullshit move to make.
Yeah, because they was planning on thinking he was gonna, Bret Hart was gonna drop the title the next night or something like
Right.
that of those
Which wouldn't have
lines.
made any difference because he was no longer under contract for WWE. So why would you come out on WWE television the next night when you were no longer under contract?
But then again, they didn't have contracts; they had like verbal handshakes.
Yep.
Because before the Montreal Screwjob even went down, if you've ever seen Wrestling with Shadows, before the Montreal Screwjob even went down, Brett had already faxed his contract or his WCW contract already before that match even happened. So, like, why would you now no longer under the company want to come out the next night when you've already signed the contract to the rival promotion and come out on Raw the next night when you're no longer under contract with them and just drop the title? Like, that makes no sense.
But there was a way that they could have come to an agreement to do it together. That's the thing.
Or they
They could have worked something out together. And that's the thing. Vince never wants to work anything out with anyone. It's always his way or the highway.
like I can understand, like he don't want nobody carrying the title to a different rival, and did what Alundra Blaze, aka Medusa, did. That part I can understand, but like you said, they could have worked something out, like do something different. And as like I didn't know what Mike just said, like Bret had faxes his contract either before the
It's on Wrestling with Shadows.
I gotta watch that because I didn't.
It's like the Bret Hart documentary.
Well,
That Bret Hart documentary.
And I think,
okay.
I think part of the thing is that, and this is what we said in regards to this whole mini series they had on Netflix, is that there was so much missing from it that we're still only given snippets of certain things.
Right.
Like, they needed to have included what Mike just said in there, because it would have made sense. And the bit I will say this, the bit I did find amusing, I never knew on WCW that when they were announcing what was going to be the wrestling matches that go on their show, he would say, and if you're wondering what's happening on the other side, don't even worry about it. Such and such was going, beat so-and-so.
And it backfired to the fullest.
Oh, yeah, especially when they...
Eric Bischoff doing that, when he announced that Mankind was going to become the champion that night to beat The Rock, everybody switched over from WCW to WWE.
Well, yeah, because you've just told, like, this big old match, and people are like, hold on a minute.
Like, yeah, that backfired completely.
And they was losing... I think they was losing ratings, like, ever since, weren't they?
Yeah, Raw was getting their asses kicked by WCW.
Right, but I was just saying that Raw was getting them back on them ever since they made that announcement about Mankind being their champion.
That backfired dramatically. I get where he was going with that, but yeah, he fucked up.
They should have...
I'm sorry, because let's be honest, there has been times where, like, AJ has said to us, oh my god, you ought to have seen the match, so and so, like, just like for argument's sake, Oscar kicked Charlotte Flair's ass, where we're like, okay, we got to come in and see this. And we literally have come and watched. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, the way I kind of missed WCW, but I get it. Like I said, that was one of the cases where the inmates were running the asylum. There was no control. Nobody was... It was just a bunch of people trying to get themselves over rather than working together to make the promotion work.
It was an ego fest, let's be honest.
And I still call bullshit with that with Kevin Nash. He up there talking about, I didn't know that the night he beat Goldberg.
Yeah, which was horrible.
And he's up there talking about I didn't know what was going to go down. Motherfucker, you're the booker of the company. Which means your job is to literally be who's going to wrestle, when they're going on, and who's going to, and the outcome. You placed yourself in a world title match against a person that was pretty much running roughshod on everybody at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. You, at that point, Kevin Nash, had never had a world title shot ever in WCW. Why? Because in Hogan's creative contract, I can wrestle whoever I want to, when I want to, and how many times I want to.
Yeah, I was going to mention something about that too, because somebody.
But you're the booker. You put yourself in. Mind you, when, to my knowledge, when Goldberg and Kevin Nash faced each other, there was no storyline leading up to it. There was no announcement that was going to happen. They only announced it when it was finally put in stone that they were going to face each other at the pay-per-view. But there was no build-up to it. He had just beat Hogan. There was no build-up. Starrcade was coming up. Now, they should have...
Wait, because in the summer, Goldberg beat Hogan, then he was like on this big street, like beating everybody. Then at start, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
They should have had Hogan and Goldberg at Starrcade, but I understand why they didn't. Because the night that Goldberg beat Hogan, it was in his hometown. I get it. But that was a main event caliber match, though. That's what everybody wanted to see. Because up at that point in time, Goldberg had beat like what, 100-some-odd people.
I think it was like around 150 and 0 or something like that.
There was no build up to the Starrcade match with Kevin Nash and Goldberg. And then Kevin Nash all of a sudden, oh yeah, I didn't know what was gonna happen. You were the booker. Like I said, your job is to determine what matches are gonna happen, when they're gonna happen, and what the outcome is gonna be. And you're telling me, as the booker of the matches, you had no say-so on you beating Goldberg? Come on now. Or the night after to give the title right back to Hogan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still gotta watch like Who Killed WCW. Because in a way, there was...
the rest of it, though, only been that one part so far. Well,
no, it's been more, but it was on Vice. Yeah.
It's on Vice, but we don't have Vice.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks, but because they was.
I looked for the second half on YouTube, but it ain't there yet.
Yeah, and I was looking on.
They put Dark Side on the Ring on there within like 2 or 3 days after the damn episode on YouTube, but yet that WCW thing is like what? It's only on part 2. We only just recently saw, well, not even recently, a couple of months back saw part 1. I know part 2 was on Vice. For us who have seen it on YouTube, we're at the second half.
they really need to like put that out there, maybe on
on
Hulu or something.
I know nobody wants to take blame for WCW downfall, but the downfall was letting the inmates run the asylum, because there was no control. Everybody was just trying to get themselves over and fuck everybody else. Especially the people that had quote-unquote power.
And you could see it actually when they were showing some of the clips. You could actually see that it was an ego fest. Because they all seemed to be yelling over the top of each other, and you know what I mean, to be the number one.
Yeah, and I just thought it was funny, like, they blame this person. They blame that person. Oh, this person did it. Oh, this person did it.
Oh, they all did it. If y'all wouldn't have been trying to kill each other to be number one, rather than be like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Rather than, fuck it, I don't care who I got to step on to be that way. Except for the cruiserweights. The cruiserweights are the only ones I could give some leeway to. Because with the cruiserweights, they were just tossing them aside. They were having some of the best matches on the card, and they were just getting tossed aside for the NWO storyline, or for whatever storyline was going on at the time. Think about it. Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio could work their asses, and they had some of the best matches ever.
Mm-hmm.
But they were always pushed to like the first or second slot of the night to make way for Hogan, whoever the heck he was wrestling that night.
Yeah, and I think that was funny that what he put out recently, that Hogan was like, I didn't use my creative control power. Like, yeah, right. You know you
He was
did.
the only person in the damn company that had creative control over his character.
Yeah.
Nobody else signed a contract in WCW with Ted Turner that had creative control in their contract except for him. Which pretty much, like I said, Hogan determined when he was going to wrestle, who he was going to wrestle, how many times a year he was going to wrestle, and what pay-per-views and TV tapings he was going to show the fuck up at. That's
Right.
how his contract was written.
Right.
And was getting paid more to be there when he didn't have to. Well, he was getting paid more to do less.
Right, and that's what was people was comparing, contracts with WCW to like what negotiations that Vince McMahon was doing, and it's kind of like the same thing with AEW, that is mainly like they do work a little bit less, but they getting paid more. So, and we know with a little bit AEW's downfall that they're not bringing much audience this year than they have in the past. I just want to like throw that in there, and especially the show that I went to earlier this month, it kind of showed that something with AEW has to change. But
a lot has to change with AEW.
They ain't gonna change because they ain't got nobody to compete against.
True.
Which was the downfall of WWE. Nobody to compete against. You don't have to push as hard. Because look how hard you were pushing in the Attitude Era. Every week they were doing something to keep afloat. Now that they don't have anybody to compete against, it's like, yeah, we get to give them the same storylines we've been using for the past 2 years. And people are just going to keep on watching it because we have our diehard fans out there that are going to watch it regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Because every week, think about it, in the Attitude Era, every week you can't wait to see what Austin and Vince McMahon were going to do to each other. Now what you see every week? The Bloodline. Every week. Same freaking story. They've been using for 2 years now.
Well, I think they doing a little bit different. Only thing they did like this year, like after Roman Reigns lost, he was gone for a while, came back, and it seemed like Bloodline, Solo Sikoa trying to take over the Bloodline or whatever, and
key word there, Bloodline. They've been using that same storyline for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting old.
I think I'm gonna say part of that is Vince McMahon's fault, especially the way he was booking Roman Reigns. That was kind of like the worst thing that he could have done.
Yep.
Hey, what's going on from Texas? But anyways,
that's how the NWO got so damn boring to me, because it was every week the same people. Every week, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus the Steiner brothers, and they would cheat to win. Every week. The Outsiders versus Harlem Heat. They would cheat to win. Every week. Somebody from the NWO facing somebody else, they'd have to cheat to win. It was like, God.
Well, and that's what we were saying as well, is that, you could tell who Vince's favourites were. Because, and me and Mike have said this several times, like, Charlotte Flair should not have beat her father's run in holding titles at her age with the limited amount of time that she'd been wrestling.
Right.
And the same with other ones. It's like, as you said, well, we're going to keep this belt on this person because we want them to beat such and such its title reign. Well, give them real matches that they're actually going to carry on and win by themselves without cheating, and make it so that they're actually wrestling for their title at least every 30 days, like it states in their contract.
right. I think the only few people that they did that were believable to fight on themselves that was a bad guy was probably Brock Lesnar and Gunner. Them probably be the only two ones that was believable that didn't need no help, that was just winning, and they were bad guys.
For them to have that long of a title reign, it's like, because every time they mention this title run, they always brought up Honky Tonk Man's record. Now, if you really wanted him to just beat Honky Tonk Man's record, you could have said it when he did it. But to keep bringing it up every single time, it's like, so that's what you keep it about on him.
Yeah,
just so he could beat Honky Tonk Man's record.
And we knew that his reign was Roman Reigns' reign was a bullshit reign when they had that match where.
The Royal Rumble when him and Kevin Owens had faced.
Right, where they couldn't get the key out to unlock the handcuffs, and so the ref stopped counting.
And for y'all that don't know what year that was in 2021 Royal Rumble.
If you remember that they stopped counting, the ref stopped counting, and we know who's going to win this.
Yep. You can blame some of that with Vince McMahon. It's the same thing with the Gunter thing. Most of that I would put Vince McMahon because he seems like he was always wanted to build some people to break records. But as Mike was saying, if you keep posting it out there if he holds this, he'll beat this record. If it was very close to it, that would be something, but don't.
But it was 2 years ahead of time.
Even if he'd have done it, which he did do it, but it's you're throwing it out there too much to make it too damn obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, if Gunter would have beat Honky Tonk Man's record,
which he did,
if he'd have done it and they'd have mentioned it when he did it, that's one thing. But every time he won a match, they brought it up. It's okay, now we know why the belt is on him for so long.
Or even if they said, hold on, I gotta ask you guys this, you two will know. What match or what pay-per-view did he lose the title at? And I'm not on about Honky Tonk Man for his reign. Which
SummerSlam,
he knows it more.
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, okay. He knows it more than I do.
Now, I could understand if they would, they would mentioned it at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into a little bit of the history of what Honky Tonk Man did and how he lost to who he lost to.
Right.
I totally get doing that. But I agree with what Mike said. We were hearing months ahead of time, Gunter's only 6 months away from holding the record. Gunter's only this. It's okay, now we know he's going to hold the record. Same with Roman. It was just okay, we knew this was going on, and this is what got more frustrating is that you would have 3, 4, 5, 6 month periods where he wasn't wrestling.
Yup.
He would just come to the ring and say some shit. It's at least, I'll say this, at least Gunter wrestled.
Yeah, and they did that favors of the limited dates on the contracts and stuff like that. I know it started with Brock, then Roman Reigns got the limited days and stuff like that. That's one thing, but don't put a title on a person that's gonna have limited days.
For that amount of time.
Right. And especially, if they are gonna with Brock, at least he wasn't holding it for a certain amount of years or anything like that. It was just maybe he probably didn't defend it that much, but he only hold it for maybe 8 months.
I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, Brock's longest reign?
Yeah.
We know that when it comes to Universal title, of course Roman Reigns broke the record for holding it the longest. But I'm just glad he did not break the record of holding the WWE title. But, they was trying to constantly just add it over, him holding a world title overall.
Brock Lesnar's first reign as WWE Universal Championship lasted 504 days. So that's over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Over nearly 2 years.
Kind of like a year. Yeah, a little bit over a year and a half. And I think that was the longest.
3 years.
Now I think that was the longest.
This one says that, just so we can bring it out, the longest title reigns: Bruno Sammartino, 2,803 days.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Backlund, 2,135. Hulk Hogan 1,474.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns 1,316. Pedro Morales 1,027. CM Punk 434.
You know you had a long title reign. I'm saying with Hogan now. You know you had a long title reign if the belt switched designs at least 3 times within the time frame that you've having it.
But my thing is, they should not count Roman Reigns for being like. Did they have that as the WWE champion, or just holding the world title overall?
It just says 5 WWE stars with the longest title reigns.
Oh, okay, so they could add that on
the
there.
damn world title until it finally became the Eagle Wing title. That's how long he had it. That was like 3 designs before that.
Hey, what's going on?
He got him when it was like, I ain't lie. I know I've already mentioned this. When he first got the title, the strap color was green.
Yeah.
The second time around was the design of it at WrestleMania 1, the first WrestleMania. Second time around was how it looked when he beat Andre for it. He didn't finally lose that belt until Saturday night's main event after WrestleMania 3, when it became the Eagle Wing title. So that's 3 years he had that belt. That it switched designs.
Alright, I'm gonna leave you guys to it. I gotta go bed because I gotta be up very early.
The only time the belt ever switched designs as of recent is when somebody else did it. But they switched designs within the 3 years that the company switched designs. Like for instance, when John Cena, as you know, when John Cena became the undisputed title or the WWE champion,
Just WWE
he
champion.
switched it to the spinner belt.
Right.
When Austin became the world champion, he switched it to the Smoking Skull title. The company switched the belt 3 times, actually 4, because I just mentioned the Eagle Wing. Was when Hogan finally lost it. When the Eagle Wing title was first introduced on television, when Hogan finally lost the title after having it for 3 years. He had it through WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Actually, he had it before the first WrestleMania, so he probably had it for over 3 years.
Yeah, that would make sense. But probably on the close the note, because I know we're going like a little bit off topic about
It being that.
but what's everybody's? But we probably can hear you from here, babe. But what's your overall view of the documentary?
I think it was good, but it's left me wanting more. There's gotta be another season, like more episodes.
What else could they possibly explore?
There are some things that they did not put out there. Like
I would like to hear more from Linda. I would like updates from where it's left off to now in regards to the investigation.
Cause yeah, that's gonna be a while with the investigation. That's gonna be a while. Cause we don't even know if he's gonna end up getting arrested or anything like that yet. It's like they was can put up the stuff that they talk about building an investigation against Diddy. Like they probably gonna end up doing the same thing with Vince McMahon. Then suddenly we hear one day like Vince McMahon is under arrest. But yeah, what do you take from the documentary, Mike?
The one thing about the documentary I didn't know about is the last part of it. The rest of it I pretty much already knew from watching documentaries and whatnot beforehand. Because as I've said before, I find stuff up on YouTube I don't even be looking for. So I pretty much knew most of that already. The ending was the most fascinating part to me because it was like the stuff that I knew, but they went in depth to it. So I was like, okay, now I know where all this is from. Like, for instance, when I knew that UFC and WWE merged together, I just didn't know the whole story behind it. I was like, okay, now I know. So it's like the final was like pretty much the only thing that was kind of like not really a revelation or the stuff like, oh, okay, now I know how that all went down. Most of it I already knew.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't know that WWE.
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
Outside the casino.
What did you think about what Vince said about that the Undertaker didn't really have a concussion? He could have chosen to block it out.
I thought that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And plus, like Undertaker was expecting, okay, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna stay undefeated. Then Vince come in and just be like, no, we're gonna give it to Brock.
Which was stupid.
Why? There was no rhyme or reason that Brock should win that match. Like, if it was like somebody that was established, like, let's just say, if Undertaker would have had his first loss to Roman Reigns, understandable. But for somebody that's already established like Brock, it's like,
You shouldn't have lost point blank period. You shouldn't
Right.
let him retire as the person that would have never, as the person that never was defeated at WrestleMania. It's like, nope, couldn't let that happen for whatever reason.
like him losing the Roman Reigns, I can understand, but it's just like Brock.
If they would have, if Undertaker would have lost at least 2 or 3 times in WrestleMania before the streak became a thing, okay, fine. But to let it go that far and then be like, he's near retirement and now we're gonna do it, it's like there was no point in even doing it to begin with. Like before it became a thing, if like I said, if he'd have lost before it became known as the streak, okay, fine. But to let it build up that long and finally be like, okay, he's on the edge of retirement, we're gonna have somebody beat him finally. Like,
Right.
What was the point? Y'all could have let the man retire as being the only person ever in history to have never lost at a WrestleMania. Not, we can't let that happen, because as soon as that streak was broken, what did he do? He lost 2 more times.
Wait.
No, 1 more time, and that was Victor's reign.
Yeah.
So you pretty much had him lose for him to win the next year. And the year after that. Because the next year after that, he beat Bray Wyatt.
Right.
It's like, and then, was that the year after him and CM Punk before that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you had him lose at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar to come back next year and win. It's like, what was the point? Undertaker himself even said, with Roman Reigns, kind of like what you said, he's like, yeah, it was a push to Roman. If Roman would have got it, it would have been understandable. Because
Right.
they'd have been like pushing Roman Reigns. But then Undertaker was like, yeah, he's never watched that match with him or Roman because he did not like the performance. He knew he could do better, but his body was telling him not.
Right. It's just still with the Brock. I know it still upsets everybody to this day about the Brock Lesnar
Fuck right.
win. Like it was no rhyme or reason or anything for Brock to gain after beating the Undertaker.
It wasn't even the fact that Brock won. It was the fact that it happened.
Right.
But it shouldn't have.
Because the couple encounters when Brock was like bursting into the scene, he always ended up being the Undertaker. But it's like they couldn't give Undertaker for him to win at beat Brock at WrestleMania just to be like that. They had to wait all the way up to SummerSlam, like months later, for him to finally be Undertaker. And not saying that it was a bad move, but they was like he had cheated to win. But overall, it was just bad. Like Undertaker should have beaten Brock and
Retired undefeated. That's all that needed to happen.
well, yeah, he probably would retire undefeated. That would have been something. But still, it's like one of those questions to this day. Is like, and Vince McMahon on the documentary didn't even say like a good reason why Brock won over Undertaker.
No,
Like
no.
why he was going for that.
There was no reason for that match to even happen.
Well, I don't understand the match even happening, but Brock still shouldn't have won. Like, it was... Like, I guess it was the only way it probably was the shock value was because he broke the streak. That's probably the only shock value. Otherwise, it's like
storyline. It was kind of like the not recent, but the storyline with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. You can tell me Goldberg can come out and beat Brock Lesnar in less than 3 minutes for the Universal title, but then when they have the rematch, Goldberg's in there with Brock Lesnar for 20 minutes before Lesnar finally beat him. It's like, what was the point? Goldberg can beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes. He did it. Nope, take that back.
It was like 3 minutes in the Survivor Series.
Less than 3 minutes. Yet they had the rematch, and it was like 20, 25 minutes for Goldberg to lose. Like, really? That's how we go set this up. We're gonna have Goldberg get run roughshod over Brock Lesnar in less than 3 minutes. Then what we're gonna do? We're gonna have Goldberg lose the title to Brock Lesnar, but the match is gonna be 20 to 25 minutes long. Like, so what was the point of him beating to begin with?
It really wasn't. Like, it just wasn't. Like, I think when you go back and look into that, it would be like that was the worst decision that Vince McMahon could ever make. And I know everybody would put that like in their top 5 that the worst decisions that Vince McMahon ever made. That would be up there for Undertaker losing to Brock. It was something that I was said I couldn't take from it that about that documentary. Let me see if I can remember what I was going to say. I think it was something of lines of, like I said, she did bring that about that like concussion, but I had something else before that, and I can't even think of what I was gonna say. And it's funny, suddenly out of nowhere, it'll just like come back to me, be like before I like close the show, be like, oh, yep, can't even talk about it. But God, let me think. What do I take from that documentary? Okay, we got the beginning. We got the curtain call. That was one big thing. The curtain call. Let's see. Then we had.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. What did you guys think of the wrestlers breaking kayfabe?
My opinion would be like, there's probably older people or like people that would have been our age or whatever, probably already knew what's going on behind the scenes and stuff like that. Like with wrestlers getting along and things like that. People probably our age probably already knew, but I guess they trying to keep like kids and some teens like keep it kayfabe, but I think it wouldn't even make a difference because they was going to find out sooner or later. But I guess they probably didn't want them to find out that moment for them breaking kayfabe. But it was bound to happen, and I guess it happens then. Yeah, what more can you say? But from like what I can take like from the docu-series, because there are some YouTubers that I still want to listen to their opinions about this, so I'm gonna try to like look for that. But I guess it's just like what I want to take from this is it was something that I didn't know. Oh yeah, it was like a certain whole bunch of lawsuits and stuff, and like thank God they finally was talking about the Chris Benoit situation. So I'm just glad they did something with that. But And plus, they was in there, and, talk about, wrestling with steroids and still like taking like enhancement, that they didn't punish them enough, and they offer like people that's like taking drugs or whatever to pay for their rehab, even if they didn't work for the organization, which was pretty good. But I guess what I can take about it is like it's just sad that like Vince McMahon will be respected for what he does, what he done for the business, but if you like still, if people tell you that you're out of touch and you still like trying to do some of the same things you do, something needs to change.
Vince would listen though, you know that.
Right. So he was like doing the same thing that his father was doing, like just didn't want to listen. But right now company's in a better place, and that's all good. But I'm gonna end it from here. Thank you guys for watching. We didn't expect for to go this long, but appreciate y'all watching. People that's watching live on Twitch, we appreciate y'all watching. Please follow us. Okay, you guys on YouTube, like I said, you watching live or pre-recorded. Thanks for the likes so far. I think that's the most likes that we probably have been given so far on these live videos. So please like and subscribe. Like I said, we're sponsored by the Toy Dimension. More information on them, check out our website, wrestlingfanspeakout.weebly.com. All their information's on there. And plus with the October 15th, the Wave of Light event, that's on the sponsor page, so check that out. Sorry guys, I had to cut this short, but I really gotta go. So until the next video, which will be back tomorrow for talk about WFSO Aftermath, if there's anything to talk about, but we'll see. But until the next video, you guys have a good one, and see you later.